one small climb still to come. This is 2:38 now for the Maillot Jaune. They've been around that time all of the time. There's been so much action going on. As they now pass under 25 kilometres to go. It seemed like 2 minutes plus that, but
it seemed very, very quick. Just sitting on the back here, this is Pierre Roland, and he'll be just hanging and hovering there. I'm not sure whether or not...
that's the remnants of the chase group. There's riders all over the mountain now. This is the Maillot Jaune here.
Yep, they're 2 minutes and 40 seconds still behind Romain Bardet. We've done over the last couple of years is immediately the French are dreaming that they've got another Tour de France winner. They haven't had a Tour de France winner for France since 1985, and they're still waiting. But this youngster, if they don't put too much pressure on his shoulders, he may well be, with the right choice of the route of the Tour de France, a winner for France in years to come.
Yes, we're still going downhill pretty quickly. A small little hiccup before we get to the line. Does he have a chance of holding them off?
Absolutely, he has a chance, because they're going to hit this little steep climb, and he's a strong climber, so you're going to put in more time into them. And then the second group start to think, oh, if I work, somebody might outsprint me. So then the second group falls apart, and they don't chase him anymore as one team. So yes, definitely, he's a very good chance of making it.
Yeah, the one thing you've not thrown in there, Jens, is the fact that there are a number of French guys in the group behind, and the one thing that always seems to be the tactic when you get to a situation like this, the French always seem to chase down a lone Frenchman when he's got a chance of winning the stage. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I noticed that in my many years as a pro rider. I noticed, yes, there's no harder fight than French against French in the Tour de France. That is actually true.
All right, Jens. Well, we're having a great ride for your nation of Germany here, with 5 stage wins for them over this year's Tour de France. We saw yesterday with Simon Geschke. We haven't seen Simon in our camera lens all day today. As we're now, Geschke was the bearded man. Now, many of you wrote to us and asked us, is it great to win with a beard when you're suffering so much? And the answer is, I don't really know. But Germany, 18 stage wins in recent years, since 2013. They're having a great few years.
Yeah, well, Phil, to put that into perspective, the Germans have won 32% of all of the individual stages in the Tour de France in the last 3 years, and that's counting up to now.
Well, he's gone under 20 kilometres to go now. He's going to get all of the cheers as he races towards the last obstacle of the day, which is a mountain. I personally have never seen it. The Tour de France has never raced over it, but we are told it is narrow, 17 corners, and quite dangerous.
Well, this is the next group on the road. 35 seconds. Pierre Roland putting his hand up there. We'll see there the banner indicating 20 kilometres to go. Everyone's putting their hand up. Theoretically, this is the last point that they've got to take on board liquids before they line up for this final climb of the day. Bardet, as we said, they're riding his 3rd Tour de France. He wore the white jersey for 5 days in 2014, but he lost it to Thibaut Pinot over the last couple of days. Had a couple of bad days. Lost a little bit of time. I have to say he was very unlucky in the individual time trial, but here it's 37 seconds the advantage. The yellow jersey group is a long way back at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and he's now not too far away from starting this final climb as well, the final climb of the day, as they start to line themselves up for it. Andrew Talansky taking on board that final drink, and it's a 3 kilometre climb. Well, it sounds quite easy, really, 3 kilometres, when you bear in mind that the previous climb was 21 kilometres. But up towards the top, the last 2 kilometres, it's around about 9% the gradient. Serge Powell's done a pretty impressive job on the day too. He's been yo-yoing on and off at the back, and that's the rider from MTN Quebec there. We're now into the town of Sainte Marie des Quines. Department number 73, and that's the department of the Savoie. He doesn't look like a man who's starting to weaken at all. He's still got very good energy in his pedalling style. He's looking up all the time to check out the corners, to check the lay of the land, to see what sort of line he's going to take around it. He knows that on the horizon is this 3-kilometre climb, and he's one of the riders who does have the opportunity, Phil, of knowing the climb, because he raced over it in the Criterium de Dauphiné, and so he will have no fear. As many other riders have talked about this, his gap has now stretched up a few. Well, they're saying 40 seconds. Race Radio is saying 36 seconds. But still, that corresponds to around about 600 metres. So on this nice little tortuous road here, for the moment, he's out of sight and out of mind.
Well, he would also like to get onto that climb and then give himself a little bit of an advantage over that chase group, which might yet get itself organised. Under 20 kilometres to go for the group Maillot Jaune, the group of Chris Froome here. They look to have calmed down a bit after the Battle of the Glandon. They're all back together, the leaders of the Tour de France.
This is Bauke Mollema now. Just on the back. You see the yellow car in front, that's the neutral service vehicle, so he'll be looking at that and saying, well, that's what I'm aiming for. I've just got to get... Actually, you just heard the horn there as well. That's the horn of the car behind him, giving an indication to the drivers in the team car. There's a rider coming up through the convoy. Be aware. Keep an eye on your back window.
Give him a little bit of the adrenaline rush to get through that convoy and rejoin the leaders. He's going to get on not long before he starts the climb, actually. The leaders are 17 kilometres from the finish here, 2:55 to this group of riders.
Well, Phil, I hope he's not casting his mind back to the finish in Mende. He was in a situation where he was well lined up to win the stage into Mende when he was away with Thibaut Pinot, and then all of a sudden they got caught out by the return of Steve Cummings on that occasion.
So Bauke Mollema comes back to the rear of the peloton. So one of the favourites who lost time has replaced himself back in the favourites, who received Rodriguez. There is the climb that we are facing. The Tour de France has never climbed it. You can see the series of corners. There are 17, and we just corkscrew our way up out of the valley and over the top. That is Les Lacets de Montvernier. Montvernier, thank you.
It is a magnificent climb, Phil. It really is picturesque and something, you know, I think, Phil, if I know you like jigsaw puzzles, I think you need to make one out of that.
Very similar pieces all the way up. It is a most interesting climb, this. It just comes up. It takes about 3 kilometres plus to get up to the top. And then the similar descent, of course, which could cause the problems.
Yeah.
It's very precarious for Romain Bardet.
A funny little ring you just might have spotted there over to the right-hand side. That is the ring of Maurienne. This is a big valley for the production of aluminium, and in fact there are 43,000 little pieces of aluminium making that ring to signify all the inhabitants of the Maurienne village.
The French, it seems, think of everything here. 3:11 back to the Froome group. They won't be racing for the win today. They can expect to do battle on this final climb. Romain Bardet is scurrying under the railway tracks there. This is the group that's trying to reach him. We're going to have a real battle up the Lacets as we start those 17 hairpin bends. It looks like we're about to get onto the climb now, and this man knows the way home.
Wow, the way he went round that corner, Phil, that was sheer confidence, and that shows that he knows how the corner was going to unfold in front of him. Now he's got to change a completely different pedalling style now. He was using a big gear on the flat. He was picking up a little bit of headwind into the valley road, but now he's got to change to the other end of his gears to get a nice low gear going in, and we get a chance a little bit later on to see that magnificent backdrop, and it really is a beautiful climb that the Tour de France has discovered.
3.4 kilometres, we've just passed the board, we're officially on the climb. Now here comes the car. It's Bob Jungels who's going to take him onto the climb at the bottom. It's 3.4 kilometres now. Doesn't take them very high, but it's going to be decisive today in the Tour de France. And this man has been amazing. Off the back, on the front, and off the front. Bob Jungels of Luxembourg. Yeah. This is the man now. It seems it's 10 days, 10 racing days of the Tour de France. It's a Frenchman won a stage, and it was on this man's team, and that was Alex Wilmaros. Now, can this man do it?
Well, a teammate as well, let's not forget. Now, this is Cyril Gauthier trying to line it up for Pierre Rolland, who's in second position. This climb, Phil, is 3.4 kilometres long. It's one of the shortest climbs that we've had so far in today's stage of the Tour de France, but maybe one of the most significant. This is always funny when you see the teammate is putting the team leader into difficulty, because Cyril Gauthier is supposed to be leading the sprint here for Pierre Rolland. Pierre Rolland is gasping for breath, can't follow his teammate.
Three flags there, Cornwall, Yorkshire and the United Kingdom on the same mast as we look now at this amazing picture of this new climb in the Tour de France.
Yeah, I just mentioned a little bit earlier, Phil, it took 6 years to build this. Around about 1928 they started. It was to link the valley of the Arc to the village of Montpellier, which is just about on the summit of this climb. Jongels is looking for the move here. He realises he's got to make the junction across here. 39 seconds. Cyril Gauthier in second position in that dark green jersey is doing a phenomenal job and trying to ride himself back into the ring. A little bit further back there is winner Anacona. What a great name for a professional bike rider, Winner.
And don't underestimate him. He had a brilliant welter. He's a really good bike rider and excellent in the mountains. He's in his first Tour de France now, and so too is Bob Jongels. This man's in his third Tour de France, and he's always had a great GC standing at the end. 6th last year, and look at this now. Bob Jongels has warmed up to this. He's getting the hang of this race into the third week.
Well, he's got 17 chances to get the hang of the corners, that's for sure. As you look at these corners, I don't think I've ever seen a road like this anywhere else in a professional bike race. It really is quite amazing how they managed to compact 3 kilometres into about 400 metres.
And Bardet on this narrow road is just climbing. You see now why they've barricaded off and stopped all cars coming up this road, but they said you can go up if you're on a bicycle. And Romain Bardet, he qualifies.
It certainly does. He's got a number on his bicycle as well today, and a transponder. Bob Jongels is doing a phenomenal job, but he's not eating into the advantage of the lone leader for the moment. Romain Bardet now. Jongels is joined there by Gauthier, Pierre Rolland, winner Anacona. Anacona, they've got about a kilometre and a half to go to the summit. Coming around the corner there is Jakob Fuglsang in the turquoise jersey of Team Astana. And Serge Pauwels is still surviving back further down the slopes. It's time now to see whether the yellow jersey group are really going to hit this climb hard.
Well, the Platz is at the back, the winner down in gap, and what a big moment that was for 156, but he's on the back of that group now. Looks like Platz is unhitching here now, paying for his efforts into gap. The day before we had a rest day. Valverde's still in this group. This is Rafael Mica, last year's King of the Mountains and double stage winner, looking over to make sure Contador is with him. He is.
Well, that's what his job to do this afternoon. Oh, Phil, this is a fantastic climb, unbelievable.
They found a great viewpoint as we twist our way up here. What a battle this Tour de France. Everybody, every day, throws everything into the ring.
And nice to see a little sign on the road there. I don't know how he managed to get up, because this road is almost clean when it comes to advertising, because there we noticed Yates you can, but I'm not sure which Yates it was for.
Well, sure, it doesn't matter.
There was 3 of them on the race.
3 of them on the race. One doesn't ride a bike this time around, but that was the top of the climb there. We're sparring up to it. 17 of these corners take us to the summit. Gauthier doing his best to launch Pierre Rolland, but how much energy has he got left? 37 seconds. It's holding. He's doing a great climb up here, the Frenchman, and he's being pulled like a magnet to Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne.
He's going to take overall in the overall standings at the start of the day, but you see, look at the wind ruffling the grass at the side of the road. It really is making this climb even more difficult.
This has got to be the longest 3.5 kilometres of the Tour de France up this climb here. He's over the top. Now it's up the gears and take the risk, and the win will be his. He's 2:41 ahead of the yellow, but only 42 seconds ahead of the chasers. 10 kilometres to go.
By the way, Phil, this is one of those horrendous climbs that I always hated as a professional bike rider, because you reach the top after an incredible effort, then all of a sudden there's no downhill immediately. He's got around about 1.5 kilometres where it actually fluctuates a bit before he starts the descent in earnest, and that will really hurt him after the effort that he's currently made. But he'll get inspiration from the fact that if he gets the information from the team car, he's now stretched it out to 43 seconds. He can slowly start to breathe a little bit more and try and recuperate for the fast descent down into Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne.
Well, there is one little kicker before we start that descent, and it's not very far ahead. It's just short, and then he gets the plunge down to the house. and that is Fulsang, who's gone over in second place with Gauthier third.
But looks like Pierre Rolland actually, because Gauthier did a lot of the pacemaking early on. I think he paid for that effort and he's disappeared. Further down the slopes, Robert Hessink is having a great tour. This is a man we saw riding exceptionally well early on this year in the Amgen Tour of California. But look at the flags there, Phil. This is really starting to rip across this group of riders there. The wind is getting very, very strong up towards the top of the climb.
This is the group containing Sanchez here, Rafael Maica, Malcolm Bolomer didn't want to be here, just second from the end, and Barguil also here.
They're just off the back of the yellow jersey group, but that is the yellow jersey group, the men who are all in the top positions in the overall standings. Robert Hessink is a rider on the front from Lotto Jumbo, followed by Geraint Thomas, followed by the yellow jersey. They've tried to unhitch Chris Froome here this afternoon, but I think they'll have to lay it all down now until tomorrow. But who knows, Phil, you know, because Nairo Quintana is looking for any opportunity.
Nibali followed by Valverde as they try to counter the move coming up towards the summit. Chris Froome just puts his head down and lifts up the cadence in yellow.
What about Matthias Frank, though, sitting on the back there, 181. He was in the long breakaway yesterday that saw him leap up in the overall standings to snitch inside of the top 10. And Vincenzo Nibali, he's 7th overall currently, but he's looking for every opportunity to try and pop himself inside of the top 5. He's not prized open the gap there, but he's put a lot of riders into difficulty, including his own teammate there, number 7, Scaraponi.
But this is why he did the work, to try and pave the way for Nibali. But Nibali is making no ground at all. As always, the yellow jersey just marks everybody. He's hanging there. He's got it under control.
Well, Froome just left a little bit of daylight between himself and everybody else there, and he's struggling just to get onto the back.
A show of defiance which won absolutely nothing for anybody as they now start the descent to the finish. They're under the 10 kilometres to go now, and Malcolm Bolomer here, back in trouble. But Warren Barguil is also there, and Sanchez. They've got to catch up again, and they've been doing this on every climb. Barguil's not too happy with Malcolm Bolomer, but hey, he's been yo-yoing all day off the back.
But every one of these riders, Phil, is, as they say in cycling jargon, on the rivet. This is Romain Bardet.
Bardet is trying to get the dash down towards the finish now as they split up here. This is the chase group we're looking at as we're seeing a move by Pierre Rolland on this little last rise before we drop down to the finish.
Well, Rolland went over the top of the last climb in 3rd position. He sees this as a last gasp blow, a last gasp effort to try and get himself the stage victory this afternoon. He knows, though, that he's got to try and ride across a gap of 45 seconds.
We're on the dizzy descent now with 7.4 kilometres to go, and of all the men to take on this descent, Romain Bardet, not only being French, but he descends like a can really descend. He's pulled out, Paul, nearly 1 minute. Well, this is Pierre Rolland, and he's sort of in no man's land just now. He's going to be joined, I think, by the others.
Well, he's using a monstrous gear here. You can see how slowly the pedaling cadence is there, ejecting the bottle. It's like trying to throw out the sandbags when you're going up in a hot air balloon, trying to get yourself as light as possible to get some more altitude. What he's looking for is more speed. It's a question here, Phil, I'd have to say, of bridge to engine room, a little bit more power, but can he find enough power to get across the gap? Froome is not looking quite that comfortable here, but he's still in contact. Let's not forget, there's only about 7.5 kilometres to go.
Looks comfortable. He's just fine. You can tell by his face he's happy. He's got it under control. He knows now he's on the run into the finish. 6 kilometres to go, and he hasn't lost anything of his 3 minutes 10 seconds. And he's watched all of his riders attack again and go literally nowhere.
Well, everybody's thrown caution to the wind in this group, but I think they're also running out of a little bit of firepower and the ability to attack. Scaraponi comes up there on the left-hand side in the turquoise jersey, talking to Nibali. Wow, around that corner, he uses every little bit of tarmac.
And it quickly accelerates and gets back into it again. He's going to win this race, I think, but this man's going to have other ideas. 2 Frenchmen running towards Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne. little bit of history in the Tour de France this year.
But Phil, at 5.8 kilometres to go, he's got to try and knock off 10 seconds with every kilometre if he's going to make the junction. And he looks as if he's using a monstrous gear, whereas every time we go to Bardet at the front, he's floating around those corners. He's notched off a little second there, but he's got to notch it off a lot quicker than that if he wants to catch the lone leader.
10 seconds is his gain so far on the descent. Maybe he can do it and make the uphill sprint a little bit more exciting, but I think this is Bob Jungels. He's been a ride of the day, that man from the youngster from Luxembourg, the way he's come and gone. So as Roland keeps going around these corners, he's taking chances on these bends.
Well, he's taking a few risks, and the fact is, Phil, that once you make a little bit of a bad manoeuvre going around a corner, you lose your nerve a fraction, and that could be an advantage for Romain Bardet, who just seems to be so smooth going around these corners. And as we go back, you can just see, watch the way he lines himself up here. He's looking around the corner, leads it in. Look at the knee going out there. Again, that's just to lower the centre of gravity a fraction. Moves across it, and he's looking at every line here. Moves across on the apex of the corner. He's not losing anything at all around the corner. And you see how much quicker he's going around those corners than our motorbike. The motorbike can't lean itself down enough to get around the corners as quickly as Bardet.
I don't blame our cameraman there. He's got a very precarious job to try and keep this rider in his sights at the moment. And you can see now he's riding down the centre line. He's inside 5 kilometres to go. He's using the whole road here as far as he can. Bardet is a man on a mission now. He wants to get France's second stage win of the Tour and move himself up overall as well. He is at 4 kilometres to go. The kite, 1 kilometre to go. And the chase now is for Pierre Roland. What could be better than a French victory? A French 1-2.
Well, it's a long way to the line for Pierre Roland. It's going to be a good 30 to 35 seconds when he crosses the line. He was dreaming of victory, to go to a victory on the slopes of the Alpe d'Huez, but it just goes to prove once again, Phil, he's riding into form towards the end of the Tour de France, but more importantly, what sort of gap is he going to get over everybody else?
Well, he might well improve he should improve his overall positioning from 14th to at least 13th place. Now Bob Jungels, they're being taken on by Anacona here. Serge Pauwels is tucked in behind. It's been a great coming of age too for this first time in the Tour de France. He's another 15 years of attempting to win the Tour, and he'll be happy with this. He may have to give second best to winner Anacona. With a name like Winner, how could you possibly lose the sprint? Winner Anacona goes over there, best of the rest.
Ahead of Jungels and Fulsang, and then coming across Serge Pauwels getting another position.
Well, don't forget the yellow jersey is still down there, but he's completely surrounded by the men that matter. This rider, though, could become the top French rider tonight. It depends when Warren Barguil comes home, but no doubt he's won the stage, and the second French victory of this year's Tour de France. And it's taken 10 racing days to repeat what they did in the Vieux de Bretagne. Again, has had a comparatively easy day watching them move.
Yeah, but it's the eve of 2 very, very difficult days, as it's Matthias Frank of IAM Cycling who brings them up into the final few hectometers. Well, just looking at the gap as they come around the corner, it might be very, very close between Romain Bardet and Warren Barguil, because Warren Barguil is just sitting on the back of this group in the black and white jersey of Giant Alpecin, as Robert Hessig really is riding a fantastic event here. He's had a great day, the Dutchman, as he leads them into the finish line. I don't think anybody will challenge too much here, as Alejandro Valverde seems quite comfortably to be sitting there in 3rd place. Well, having said that, Barguil makes the move around on the left-hand side to lead them home ahead of Robert Hessig and Chris Froome, Geraint Thomas, and all of the other leaders in the overall standings. Stand very close together. There should be no change overall. Sammy Sanchez coming around the corner there with Bauke Mollema. And Bauke Mollema, I think, should really have been able to hold on and defend his position. He had a good buffer over Warren Barguil at the start of today. So here's confirmation. France getting that victory. A 1-2 for France as well, actually. Bardet and Pierre Roland at 33 seconds. Winner Anacona 3rd at 59. Stage 19 of the Tour de France
Oh,
as the
being
peloton prepares
a
for
week
another
before,
alpine battle. Chris
first of all,
Froome
he's
conceded
disconnected.
yesterday that the climb of the Col de Glandon was tough. Could that slightest
I've
of
been in
concessions
front of
be the
the rise,
catalyst for a
in front of
barrage
it
of attacks
directly.
from Nairo Quintana?
Past few
Stage
meters.
19, and it's a short stage
Well,
of
now,
138 kilometres, but that
90%
will
of
only
the
increase the
rise so
intensity.
far.
The Category 1 climb straight out of the start at St Jean de Maurienne. A little bit of respite through the Valley Road and the intermediate sprint. It's then on to the Col de Poitiers, quickly followed by the Col de Mollard, and then to the finish line at La Toussière. The Vultures glide over the top as they also glide behind Chris Froome, aiming to take away that 3-minute and 10-second advantage. The leaders of the various classifications, as is the tradition, they stand at the start, at the front of the peloton, ready to roll out. We're just about set for the flag to drop. There'll be 5 minutes in the neutral zone before the second flag then comes in from the lead car, driven by the race director Christian Prudhomme. And that's when the racing will really commence. An enormous amount of support for Peter Sagan in the green jersey, likewise the white jersey for Nairo Quintana. The Colombians have come in huge numbers to this year's Tour de France, and Quintana is giving them hope that just perhaps he might become the first Colombian to win the race. He's one of just 2 Colombians to have finished in the top 3 of the Tour de France. Fabio Parra, great Colombian climber from the 80s, the other man to do so back in 1988. For Nairo Quintana, he was second behind Chris Froome in 2013. Rodriguez, he's clearly made the King of the Mountains jersey his objective. Yesterday, he faded on the climb of the Col de Glandon. He said he simply forgot to eat. Not the sort of thing you expect from a man of such experience, 36 years of age. Stage 19, the second last big battle. It's Alpe d'Huez tomorrow, it's La Toussière today. And whatever the conversation was between Sagan and Rodriguez, it brought a smile to the face of the race leader. Chris Froome looks relaxed and well in mind. 161 riders remaining in the race. We had a couple of abandonments yesterday, Mark Renshaw amongst them. This compares to last year. Last year, at the finish in Paris, there was 164 riders. So we're already below the mark from 2014, and we've still got 2 very tough days to come. Michele Scarponi just sneaking through the picture from Astana. I wonder what we'll see from Vincenzo Nibali today. And immediately we're seeing the peloton split up under the pressure. Not surprising, there is a lot of pressure on. At this point, probably worth mentioning the tweet from Thomas de Gent this morning. Who is interested for the Group Preto today? Contact Marcel Seberg for tickets. You can also have a group discount. So he made it pretty clear how the day is probably going to unfold for him. Arnaud Demar at the back, the French sprinter from FDJ. Meanwhile, his teammate, Alexander Geniez, is pressing away at the front for FDJ. Had a good Giro d'Italia this year, Geniez, finishing inside the top 10. Big action now coming. Sitting in 3rd position, the man who started it all, Brice Filou. Not as if Alejandro Valverde was also trying to sneak into the action. Do enjoy these shorter stages. Means it is full gas from start to finish. Life at the back, and it's not comfortable. Arnaud Demar, former under-23 champion. That was in Denmark that he won that title. The same year that Mark Cavendish won the elite title. Rodriguez goes, and Mahawi responds again. The rider sitting in 2nd position, Mahawi Kudos, when he went to the UCI Cycling Centre, their World Cycling Centre in Switzerland, which is where
Chris Froome came through when he was registered as a Kenyan cyclist. All the data coming out on Kudos is that this guy is a potential top 5 finisher at the Tour de France. Let's hope he fulfills that potential. This is the race for the King of the Mountains jersey. Points up for grabs, a Category 1 climb. As Jean-Christophe Perrault, extraordinary. He is bouncing back and he returns. He no longer looks mummified. He's still got a lot of bandages on, but he continues to fight on bravely. 32 degrees. It is hot at the start. It's warm at the finish. Filou paying the price. This is Louis Vestre going through for Astana. Genia's next in line for FDJ. Looks like it could be Platzer once again for the Lamprey team. Not the normal terrain for Louis Vestre, although he has been on the podium at Paris-Nice. He finished in second place in 2012 when Bradley Wiggins took the title. Cannot praise the man sitting in second position enough. Always easy to spot the peloton because he's got one red shoe, one blue shoe. But this is Jean-Christophe Perrault, second overall last year. On the stage to Rodez, it looked as if he was going to be on his way home. And a couple of days ago, he even said then, I'm not sure why I'm continuing. The suffering is just too much. Every bump hurts. I can feel it rattling through my body. All this is why Jean-Christophe Perrault has continued to show himself at the front once again. He has said that this may well be his last ever Tour de France. And Peter Sagan also trying to poke his way into the picture. Conor, the rider from the Cannondale team, as we saw yesterday, had 3 riders in the breakaway: Talansky, Hagedal and Dan Martin. Andrew Talansky yesterday in 9th position, the day before he finished in 2nd place. And as always with the football, he has declared he will continue to fight. An AG2R Le Mondial, they've been the only French team, or the only team with French riders to win stages this year, as they've had stage wins with Villemos and yesterday with Bardet. They've now got Perrault on the charge and joined by Christophe Riblon. Christophe Riblon now trying to come across as well. This is Brice Filou, the man who started it. The reaction in the green colours, that's Dan Martin. Emmanuel Buchmann, the German national champion, trying to go across. Movistar also infiltrating the early breakaways. It's Maloney is the rider of the Movistar colours, the Italian individual time trial champion. So he's got plenty of force power. Has he got the climbing legs? Such an aggressive start to the stage, as we expected. Another short stage tomorrow, so we can anticipate equal sort of aggression at the start of the stage. Mallory wearing the yellow helmet for Movistar. They are the leaders of the team's classification. It's not the team's classification that they want. We've got a 36-minute advantage over MTM Quebecer, who sit in 2nd position. Movistar, they don't want a yellow helmet. They want a yellow jersey for Nairo Quintana. Buchmann on debut, the young German national champion. The Chaussee is their first climb of today, but this was the final climb of yesterday. Wasn't it stunning? Montvernier introduced to the Tour de France yesterday, and it won't be the last time. It's the